Buongiorno, and thank you for downloading this episode of Discussing Documentaries with
You're Matt Wills. You're Matt Wills.
Good, and you are?
And I'm also Rick Wharton. I'll tell you why Matt is a little bit dazed and confused.
I wasn't off air. I was doing great off air. I've just froze.
I will take this because in this past week, something has happened that has brought a saga to an ending that we have talked about. Oh, you've heard us talk about it for so long, but it's over. We have finally finished season 1 of Making a Murderer.
Nice
live on the
boy.
Patreon, £5 to subscribe. All 10 episodes. If you don't want to go back and watch it before season 3 comes out, we've got you covered on the Patreon. It is fucking great watching Matt's reaction to the first time of one of the best documentary series that was ever made. Making a Murderer on the Patreon.
Yeah, well worth it, man. Well worth it just to hear me go, what? But today we are talking... Here you go, look, I'm back. Today we are talking about Netflix's Bad Sport Volume 1. And in honour of what's gone on in the news lately, we are talking about Footballgate, which has got scandal, it's got football, it's got corruption. And we've got an expert in the studio with us today because we got Rick Wharton. He knows all about corruption in football and the dark side of football because he supports...
Are we talking about a team that plays in black and white that has an unfair advantage over every team on the planet right now? Is that who we're talking about?
We are talking about that, yeah. So it's called Footballgate, Netflix. The director is Alex Keel. It's just come out, so no money, no accolades. Here's the quick blurb. Investigators detail shocking allegations from former Juventus director Luciano Moggi and how he influenced referees in a scandal that rocked Italian football. Now, we've done a few sport ones lately, and I think Netflix are banging these out because I think they're quite easy to do. And I looked at this and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, okay then, let's do this." And I can see why you've picked it. Now, I thought you were going to hate this because it's all subtitles. Like, the odd person speaks English, but the rest of it is all subtitles, which I found really difficult.
Here's what I did. I put it on the setting for blind people where they say everything in English.
You what now? What?
It's kind of the audio setting where they describe everything on the screen and also dub it over in English.
Every day's a school day, mate. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah. I was trying to find a better dubbing for Squid Game. I found it, and then I put it onto this one.
Oh, mate. Okay. All right. Okay, right. Well, I've just learnt a lesson. There you go. I'm wondering. The thing is, I started watching Alice in Borderland, which is a Japanese thing, and I was watching.
Yeah, that's been released recently.
Yeah, and it's really good, right? Although she didn't like it. I think she's like you. She doesn't like subtitles because she has to read all day long. But so I watched the first 2 episodes with subtitles, and then I watched the third in dubbed, and it's completely different. It's a different show when it's dubbed, to the point it's shit. So
is it because you're not doing an offensive accent in your mind?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly it. Yeah. But no, they change all the words and stuff. You know, he didn't just say that. It's because I keep the subtitles on because I'm a pedant. I'm like, he didn't just say that. That's bullshit. Just read the fucking subtitles, actor. That's all you got to do. Can you not read?
I'm hearing the exact same complaints about Squid Game because we're up to the final episode of that. Me and our last watching it, and she said that, they changed what she had said at this point, and she's very finicky between the book and TV translations. It's one of her bugaboos.
That's why I like your missus. She's been brushed with the pedantry stick, and I like that because that counts, man. It really counts.
What does pedantry mean?
It's where basically pedants die alone. It's where everything's just got to be exact. It's got to be exactly how you've got it. It's
mentally ill. Okay, right. So Middle-class mental illness is what that is,
Yeah.
Rick.
I think the thing is, I've said this to you before, you've got
My
like
parents paid for my education, and I have to make it seem like it was fucking valuable for money somehow.
No, I think you've got a magnet for people like me and your lass. And everyone in your life is a little bit off. And that's no disrespect to your missus. She doesn't listen. Does she listen?
Look, there's a bit that...
Can we backpedal here?
What's that?
Can we backpedal? I'm slacking down me and your missus. And I'm like, now I know I'm cool with slagging me down, but I'm now having a pop at your missus. And I quite like her.
Well, what it actually is, Matt, is you people are drawn to me because I seem relaxed. And that is
you do seem
the
relaxed.
dragon. Yeah. The dragon people like you have been chasing all your lives. and
that is very true.
And then when you look into the vortex that is my life, it inevitably just adds more stress to yours.
That is very true. Right,
you have to be willing to fall out of the tree and hope everything's going to be okay. You can't just fix every branch.
That's true. But yeah, we are. You're right. Me and your lads are trying to. We're not just trying to fix the branches. We're talking to God about the structure of the tree in the first place. You're like, no, hang on. This is all wrong. How'd you design?
Wait
like
a minute. This is how Americans make trees, not English people. Well, what does that make a difference? I read a poem once. It's supposed to be like the poem.
And in honour of today being about Footballgate,
it's like it's written in the stars, isn't it? It's just written in the stars. Listen, I would like to thank all of our fans that wrote to the Premier League board in support of this happening. This is I'm gonna backtrack because now becomes the fun part for me. I get to just sit back and say, "Yep, 400 million a year will make us Champions League players."
And here's what I've got to look. So I look at Rick on a screen, and the backdrop of Rick is normally It's a Rick Sanchez poster that's just, and it's been like that for the last 18 months. Now I've got just a corner of the Newcastle flag. What are they? Is that a unicorn? No, that's a horse. That's a
seahorses.
Seahorses. Yeah. Okay. What? Why have you got seahorses on your crest of your... One of my best mates is a Newcastle fan. I should know all about this because I adore her. I know, and you're Newcastle. I should know more. I haven't got a clue.
If we go back to our OCD problems and need for understanding, guess what? I've never questioned the seahorses.
Well, seahorses weirdly are one of the few creatures where the male carries the baby and raises the baby.
Oh, right.
So... I don't know what that says.
It's got now to deal with Bobby Robson, unfortunately, man. So fuck all about that.
Bruce out.
Did you see the footage of them celebrating?
No.
Did you not see? Oh, mate, there was like 8,000 people dancing outside the stadium until 4 a.m. I got a mate whose dad went across my mate's dad, he's in like 50s, 60s, came back covered in kebab at 4 a.m. He just had to go and stand next to honestly, like, the obsession of this takeover, it got to the point where on the day when they're like, okay, it might happen, the BN Sports thing's been compensated. Okay, they're saying this on Sky Sports News. My best mate here, his brother, lives in, where the fuck is it? Like, Jesmond area or whatever. He went to the hotel where Amanda Staveley and the consortium were signing the documents and took a picture of the hotel. I literally...
Ground zero, Rick. This is it. Look at this.
And this isn't like some weird YouTuber looking for footage. This is just a guy who's meant to be in the office. So if you think Sky Sports News had someone there, and I did.
And just to put this into context, if you're listening in the future, Newcastle United have been bought by a consortium of Saudi Arabian rich people.
The Public Investment Fund is an autonomous operation which is separate from the state. It will not be government run, although the Prince of Saudi Arabia is the chairman, but we have a signed letter from the state to say the state won't run it, even though it's been run by the head of state. So clearly, there was never even a misunderstanding. Why shouldn't we be allowed to have a football club? It just turns out we're now 10 PSG Paris Saint-Germain teams.
The thing, I know people who are fundamentally against this, but they still won't change. They won't change their team. No, I can't change my team. It's written in my blood. You've changed your house. You've changed your country. You've changed multiple partners. Loads of people out there are fundamentally against this, but they will not stop supporting the team because they know at some point those owners will move on. Because that's what owners do, right? No, they do. Eventually they go. It's the only constant in the universe is change. So it will change. And that's what they're going to hang on to.
I love that. I got to be honest, if you're like, oh man, I'm going to have to brave these dark years after the glory, the honour of Mike Ashley and how he ran this club. I mean, there's a guy you could depend on to do the honourable thing. I got to be honest, a lot of the people that I love and respect in this world are 100% against this takeover, including the person I love most in this world, my other half. And It created a tension, I got to be honest, as she came in the kitchen and found me on my knees.
Were you on your knees praying to Mecca? Have you converted? Is that what you've done now? It's a small price to pay. I can give up alcohol and bacon. It's all right.
It's as I took out the ceremonial special edition St. James's Park Brown Ale I was bought for a birthday gift 3 years ago.
Yes, I've been looking at that beer for fucking ages. It's coming.
I've been using that like the Watchman's doomsday clock, where if it looks like the takeover's about to happen, it gets put back in the fridge, and it is always the most depressing day of the week if I had to take that out.
I would just like to say publicly in a public forum, so this goes out to the world, so everyone in the world knows. I was wrong. You were right. Congratulations. Good on you, mate. I'm genuinely, Matt. I'm happy for you. This is just because I love you.
This is where it fits into your OC. I couldn't give a fuck about your opinion. I want Saudi money, baby. I was never listening to your opinion. Never. Fuck the New York Times. Bezos cheated on his missus. He should have been caught for it. All right.
But yeah, mate,
I was tempted to fucking do this whole podcast dressed as a bee. If you haven't seen our episode of The Dissident, this shows exactly why it's very terrifying these people run. My favourite thing in the world.
So right, we're back in with the good books. That's good. So
just one last thing. I saw one article. All right, I saw one article, and it just filled me with glee. It honestly did, right? And because the best part of this is now I can stop caring about Saudi Arabian things.
You have become an expert. You can stop learning your Farsi, all of that. That's all gone.
There's a fantastic Ed Byrne line, right, where he talks about how he loves being married, and his favourite thing about being married is I no longer have to plan a fucking wedding.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's if anyone's in the process or just been married, go and watch Ed Byrne, A Different Class. It's a whole show on that, and it's all fucking brilliant. It's like one of the best touring stand-up shows I've seen. So the amount of Saudi Arabian propaganda I've had to read to try and find out what the fuck's going on with this deal, to signing up to the House of Saud fucking cover letter to find out. To be like, so are they going to come back to the table or not?
The thing is, one day there's going to be a documentary about this, right?
This was my final point. Sorry, this is exactly my final point. Amazon Prime have reached out to do an all or nothing series to cover the rejuvenation of Newcastle United. There's going to be a 10-part, fingers crossed, a 10-part.
Mate, that's not going to happen. We're not Patreon in it. We're not.
I will fucking record them the night I watch them. You will have, if that comes out July 10th, you'll have that July fucking 11th, because I am not doing anything until I've finished watching that.
The thing is, I reckon they could get you in as a talking head, like the crazy fan in this show. You could be that.
The sad thing is, they could get actual talking heads.
That would be cool, man, if I get to interview you, a talking head from a documentary. Right, anyway.
Why is this guy laughing at himself saying he wants Coutinho? It's just what he's like, don't worry about it. Right, so, that's the preamble over.
I liked I like normal Rick. I'm not sure how to handle Happy Rick because the whole
I
dynamic
don't know what
changed.
to do with Happy Rick.
The whole
I don't know
dynamic
what
has
to do.
changed of this. Do I have to go miserable now to keep the seesaw in balance? Because currently it's level, isn't it? We're both happy chaps, and it's like, isn't life great? Brilliant, isn't it?
There's an overcorrection coming at some point. I guarantee that. It's like, I told you off the podcast, our last saw me just like looking up and smile. Like I just smiled to myself. Just went, "What's wrong with you?" I went, "Oh, just happy." I mean, this is like 4 days. It's like 4 days after the takeover.
12 years.
Yeah.
She's never seen that smile before. That's shocking,
Wait, that's
mate.
what she says. She says, "I've never seen you have that look on your face." This is how I feel constantly at the moment.
Oh, mate. Well, congratulations. I'm happy for you. Right, on to our job. Let's do our job. Let's talk about...
I'm getting season tickets. Fuck stand-up. I don't need escapism anymore.
Yeah, fuck the podcast. I've got something proper to do. So, this is all about... where were we? Right, Footballgate. Luciano Moggi. He influenced the referees. And this documentary starts with a talking head with a geezer who's smoking, and he's given a speech about how he loves justice, and that's why he became a public prosecutor. And his name is Pino Narducci. And he smokes throughout the entire documentary.
This is the hardest one to watch without wanting a cigarette.
Yes, right? That's exactly how... I haven't smoked in over 4 years, and I'm like... I could go a B&H right now. That would be lovely. Yeah, that's just... And the thing is, I've got 200 silk cuts sitting downstairs that I bought over from Spain for a mate of mine. And I thought, well, she won't notice one's gone missing, will she? Just one. Do you know my missus has started smoking? Did I tell you this?
When did she start smoking?
I'm not sure, but she thinks...
You've been away from home a lot this year, haven't you, Matt?
Yeah, right. It's just the other day, I was like, oh, and the way I knew she'd started smoking is because she was there having a fag. And I'm like, oh. But she thinks I don't know.
Right.
So
there is an element of that people enjoy, because getting my mother to quit smoking is the happiest time of her life because she gets to sneak around and shit.
Yeah, the illicit cigarette.
You literally have to be an asshole. Like when she came and visited me down south, when she's going through the I'm not smoking anymore period, I literally patted her down coming in the house, found the fags. Now, she's driven from like County Durham to Surbiton, London, and I've patted her down and just holds the fuck off within 5 minutes and stormed down.
We're going back up north. Oh, Richard, what have you done? Yeah, but this guy, man, he loves a fag.
And he's called Pino, an Italian called Pino. That's like having like
Brilliant.
a prosecutor in Newcastle called Brown Ale Dave.
Yes.
who only investigates crimes against Newcastle United.
And we meet an organisation again, and they keep referring to this organisation, although obviously you don't get anyone from the organisation. The Camorra, which is basically...
Camorra.
Yeah, which is like a... They keep saying it's like the Mafia. So I don't
Is
get...
the Mafia literally the Italian-American branch?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I've read all the books. I read them when I was like 18, so maybe I'll have to revisit again. The Sicilian's very good, and the Godfather is a great book. It's just a tour de force. Mario Puzo, isn't it? Anyway, I don't remember the Camorra being mentioned, but maybe yeah. But they sound like they're not mafia light either. The Camorra, so they run cities. Yeah, they run states in Italy, right? It's like they're in charge of County Durham. That would be the thing.
They're the ones that signed Maradona for...
Probably, yeah.
Who did he sign for again? Shit.
Right, was it
Wasn't
Roma?
Lazio, was it? No, Napoli? I think it was Napoli.
Napoli, right, okay.
Oh, that's going to annoy me, that. Who did he sign for? Blue shirts. Lazio's the...
I thought it was
one.
Roma.
I think it was Lazio. It wasn't Roma.
Right.
Roma's like a reddy orange shirt. He was in a blue.
Okay. All right, I'm going to chuck my hat in the last...
I'm going Napoli.
Okay, one last time. Was it Roma? No, definitely... Right, okay. I'm going to keep saying it till it's right. I don't know why I've got Roma in my head. But anyway, so this... so basically, Pino... That is I didn't notice that. His name is fucking Pino. I just called him the smoker. Basically, someone grasses and tells the old Bill that football is corrupt. And this is in 2003. And Pino was just looking for a cause because he's given his whole ever since I was a child.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
mate. All right, we get it. We get it.
I love two things: fair sports and fags. It just sounds different in an Italian accent, doesn't it?
Well, he does sound cool, and he looks cool, right? And the thing is, I googled him. He's only 26. He smokes
26.
a lot of. No, why didn't you up?
I was going to say.
He smokes a lot.
Sorry,
of fags.
you got me on that one. I was like, shut the front fucking door.
Basically, the grass uncovers the biggest scandal in the history of Italian football. Now, this is a country that would seem it's beset with scandals and corruption. This is the dodgiest fucking country on the planet, right?
Do you know what? It's the most organised dodginess on the planet.
Okay, yeah, and the coolest looking.
In fact, sorry, yeah, okay, they've had the coolest movies about being organised and dodgy.
Yeah.
But you know the audio that I had, how it's for the blind, so it tells you what's going on? At the start of every talking head, it says, man gesticulates while talking.
Did they mention he was smoking?
Yes, every time.
They do?
They tell him, they mention every time he flicks the ash into the fucking ashtray.
Oh, okay, I'm turning on AD. That's it then. And basically what the grass has said is there's a group called the Roman Posse, which just sounds ridiculous. We're a posse! And basically it's a group of Italian referees who are influencing football matches at the highest level. So to move that from an English point, so in the English view, start again. The English version would be the Premier League. In Italy, it's called Serie A, or Serie A, and then it goes down in Serie B, Serie C, and yeah, basically it's all about how Pino just tries to get to what's exactly happening and how he can build a case against the people who are ruining the beautiful, uncorruptible game of football.
The sanctity of Serie A. Those people, there's something I love visually about them setting those flares off in the stands every time there's a throw in, but I think to be there would be fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and you'd choke, right? If you're behind the idiot with the flare, yeah, you're gonna fucking choke to death.
It's something we don't have in Britain. I've never seen the flares going off, but there is something that just it creates an excellent atmosphere. I got to be honest. If I wasn't in the stadiums, I want flares going off.
Yeah, it's like handheld firework, isn't it? And then basically the fan, you only see him for 2 headshots, and he just comes on, and it's in an Italian. He just sounds so sexy, and then the subtitles: "I was born in a black and white shirt." As was Rick, but it's now stained with the blood of a journalist. Just gonna keep, just keep chucking that in there.
I tell you what, how about a tweet Amanda Staveley to buy Suchek, or you shut the fuck up, because we're taking our lad shit, man. Declan Rice isn't staying anymore. What's that? 80 million? There you go. Good luck with the next one.
It's 20 million for a little tip. Get yourself something nice. Go
Here's
on, Paul
20.
Brothers.
Get a better coloured shirt.
Yeah.
Your shirt doesn't show blood, does it not?
And basically all the corruption
You can buy yourself some more fucking bubbles, mate. See you later.
And the corruption is all centred around a team, Juventus, who are effectively, they're like the Manchester United of Italian football. So they've won more than anything else, than anyone
27
else.
titles.
Yeah. Everyone else combined hasn't won as much as what they've won over the years.
Owned by Ferrari, or the company that owns Ferrari.
Yeah, the Aneri family, who they own Fiat and they own Ferrari. And here's the amazing thing about them. They contribute 5% to Italy's GDP. That takes some doing, man.
That's really unfair on the rest of the clubs in the league. They shouldn't be allowed to have a team.
But basically, they said effectively the Aneris are the royal family in Italy. That's what they are. But all they do is sell motors. It just seems weird that your royal family would just be a load of...
Is it all they do? Are they the Kenko trading company as well? Like,
yeah,
I mean, they're a lovely family. You go there on the day of their daughter's wedding, they'll do anything for you. But But here's how you know how corrupt. Here's how corrupt they know it is in Italy. So they get this tip off, but they can't go to just anyone in the police force. They have to go to the military police so that isn't leaked out and everyone knows about it.
But that's the bit I didn't get. So here's how I see Rome, right? we've got Gladiator, and then we've got modern day. And then they came over to England. They gave us everything. Then you got Life of Brian and shit, and then we've got modern day. So if they still got the Centurions and all of that shit, but obviously in different clothing, but they've still got a military police who are used on a daily basis, have they? What?
Well, so have ours. Like, ours gets mobilised during the pandemic and stuff like that. I think it's because they don't get used within this capacity is why it was reached out to. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So picture it this way. Imagine what we just watched, Making a Murderer. All right? And you've got a Sergeant Andrew Colburn / Rick Wharton sat there in the office.
Yeah.
And someone comes in and goes, oh, those 5 league titles that Newcastle United won, which he cheated. And what we're going to do is try and prosecute them so they get taken away. And I just sit there for a moment. My old boss used to support Newcastle. Maybe you'd like to hear this. Something interesting happened at work today, Pat.
But I found it weird that he reached out to the military police. And the reason they got on, so the military copper who's the talking head in this is called Attilio. They're so sexy and cool, aren't they, the Italians? Attilio Aricio. And the reason he got on with Pino was because they both like to smoke. That was their bonding mechanism. Not just this, not anything else. He liked cigars, I like fags, we were mates. And basically they...
Do you not mind if I smoke in the car? Oh, fuck, you're my new partner. All right.
Basically, they tapped a fella called Luciano Moggi's phone, and he was the sporting director of Juventus FC, and then it all starts to...
Now, I have to just put in a little bit of footballing context to how they describe Luciano Moggi, right? Because they turn around and they say, now, Moggi was excellent as a director of football. He found Zidane, Nedved, and Buffon. Now, let me tell you something. Those players were fucking incredible, and it's the equivalent of saying, I don't know, Man City found Aguero, Yaya Toure, and fucking Kevin De Bruyne. No, they just went by those guys.
Yeah.
There was not a kind of, he wasn't there scouting them since the age of 6. Like, Zinedine Zidane at Marseille was one of the greatest players of all time. Pavel Nedved at Lazio was fucking unstoppable, and Buffon was just the greatest goalkeeper from the minute he stepped on the field at Parma. And he had this thing now.
I'm loving your Stato brain. You are Stato. You are it.
I was playing Championship Manager during these years, and let me tell you, you go player search, who's at the top? Buffon, Nedved, Zidane. You can't afford them, Martin.
I'd only ever heard of Zidane. I've never heard of Buffon or the other chap. I can't even remember the other chap's name, and you just said it seconds ago.
It's from the computer games. That's why.
Right. Okay.
So you look at who you're buying and who's the best in the world, and that's how it seeps into you. That's why what's happening now with Newcastle is... I mean, I'm talking to you right now, Matt, but all I'm thinking of is Mbappe doing kick-ups in an NUFC shirt. That's all I'm thinking right now.
The computer games I did as a kid that stuck in my brain was Pac-Man, so I just like sitting in dark rooms eating pills. That's what I do. So,
I have seen you eat grapes after a gig, and I can completely understand that.
So basically, the pair of them set up they set up a very small team because they're so worried about the corruption of the team. They don't fucking trust anyone, do they? And they set up a load of wiretaps. Now I thought about that, right? That wiretap stuff, that's got to be 99.9% boring.
It clearly was, yeah. But they have again, I like the fact they have the audio. Fuck Werner Herzog once again as the fucking prevailer message after about 100 episodes of this podcast. Fuck Werner Herzog. You should have played the fucking audio. There's a one where he rings up. So Moggy rings up the head of the Referees Association and says, I've got a present for you. And then the head of the most Italian thing I've ever heard, he went, don't bust my balls. Don't bust my balls.
And Moggy spoke so much that they needed a bigger team to listen to the tapes. Like at the end, when you get to the end of the documentary, they said, yeah, we had like 2,500 hours. You're like, what? Over the space of a few months? There's not that many hours to speak on the phone, is there?
That just made me think of Casino, where it's just like you have to turn off the call if it's not pertinent. He just rings up and talks about pasta for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so anyway, on Tuesday we need Kalina. Right, goodbye.
And the Juventus, because what you need in a story like this, so Juventus are painted as the bad guys, and you need a good guy, right? They need to be against someone, and they're against
AC Milan. Oh, what a team AC Milan had in that day! What a fucking team! Kaka, Seedorf, fucking Crespo. I think they had Shevchenko at the time. Costa Curta, Maldini was still playing. That was like one of the greatest teams of all time. And let me tell you, do you know who was the owner of fucking AC Milan at the time?
I do, but why don't you tell us? Go on.
Berlusconi, the head of state of Italy.
The Italian Prime Minister owned the football team. And weirdly enough, Berlusconi, who was as dodgy as they came by all accounts, right? Because bear in mind, he owned a media empire, so he controlled the news. He's not the dodgy one in this documentary. That's how fucking bad it is. Berlusconi's clean as a fucking whistle because he loves football, Berlusconi.
Well, let's get to that. So they go through the Juve season. They sign Ibrahimovic, who could have foresaw. What a sight! How did he unearth him, Moggy? How did he know to sign Zlatan Ibrahimovic?
But they've also
and he got Fabio Capello as the manager.
Yeah, the ex-England manager. He's and who was the Juventus manager? What's his name?
Capello.
No, sorry, the
centre back.
No, the Milan.
Was Cannavaro. Oh, the Milan manager was, I think it was Ancelotti at the time.
No, it was the guy who's just got booted out of Everton.
Ancelotti, Carlo Ancelotti. And he didn't get booted out. He left for Real Madrid.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. I had the name Ronald in my head whenever I saw him.
You're thinking Koeman, who's at Barcelona.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, or a clown. I might be thinking of a clown. So, effectively, they start going through it. And do you think there was a case here?
I'll get to the end. I'll get to the point why there is a case, in my opinion. But there's this prevailing opinion that Juventus always get the favourable decisions.
It's Fergie time type thinking, right? Where Alex Ferguson always got the decision that went his way, which wasn't the case.
Well, do you know where the inception of Fergie time was from? So the first time Manchester United won the league under Alex Ferguson, the last game of the season, they had to beat Sheffield Wednesday, and they were drawing 0-0, 1-1, 2-2. Whatever the fuck they were doing, they were drawing.
Yeah.
There was like 10 to 15 minutes extra time in that one, and they got the goal.
But why was there 10 to 15 minutes extra time?
I have no idea, but that's what they call Fergie time. Just on that particular day, at that particular moment, with that particular thing at stake, there was 10 to 15 minutes. I have no idea what. Newcastle 2 years ago scored the first penalty that was at Old Trafford for 10 years. Now that isn't a great statistic. Do you know what I mean? That's
no, but you wouldn't level it that Manchester United are corrupt and that the English referees are corrupt. There seems an unjust fairness, but I would never think that a referee in England at football is corrupt, ever. That would just... And although I would say it, though, I'm like, fuck it, you cheated bastard ref. If you've got a house in wherever they're playing... that it goes against us. Because I always feel as a football fan...
I love the idea that I'd be completely understandable. Unless I was part of a mob, then obviously I would join in with the gang.
No, but at home, when I'm on my own, you're corrupt. But I don't genuinely, if I think about that, because the emotion that football takes you to is very weird, right? So I remember, I see myself as a good model citizen within the United Kingdom. I think I'm almost the pillar of respectability if you can take away the alcoholism and the drugs and stuff, right? If you take away all of that, I think I do all right. But I remember being on a bus the year we got relegated with 30 other fans, and we were all singing and banging on the side of the bus, in the bus. And it must have been terrifying for everyone in there. But us as fans, we were just having a right laugh. But football makes you fucking mental. And you don't... Yeah. But I would never think that an English ref is genuinely corrupt. And this is what they were trying to prove, that the refs were influencing games. And this poor chap, Gianluca, what a great fucking... I want an Italian name. The great ref, Gianluca Papesta. He makes a few decisions in a game, and Luciano Moggi don't fucking like it.
Oh, that's the game after. So there's a calls for dodgy penalties in the first game. The second game, they're against Regina, who's like a relegation side. Now, what happens in this match is one of the reasons why football's incredible, is because like on a given day, fucking Andorra can beat Brazil. Like, you see the first goal, it's a deflection that goes past the world's best goalkeeper for the past 10 years. The second goal creeps in, and then Juve have a goal disallowed, which you clearly see Zlatan Ibrahimovic just fucking elbow some guy out of the way and tap it in. That was a disallowed goal. I don't know if you ever watched the cartoon The Hurricanes, but he played like the bad guys from that. And then there was also a last-minute goal, which was definitely offside, and they went mental. It was disallowed. So after the game, you see Alessandro Del Piero pushing like one of the officials away, and then they go down to the referee's dressing room, look at Moggy, and gives him a piece of his mind to complain.
Yeah. And basically, he can't handle losing. That's what Moggy can't handle. And within that moment in football, you can't. You feel like the world's against you, right? And it's so unjust. Like, for instance, when we play you again, and you've got, Mbappe and all his mates, and you give us a hammering of 6 or 7-0, I'll be like, no, you've bought the title. Khashoggi, think of Khashoggi, you bastards, right?
You're holding a candle to a dissident you never heard
exactly,
of.
Right? Suddenly I'm interested, because it's like, no, this is unfair, because my side are losing. How fucking dare you?
Here's me putting on my oppositional walk hat. Isn't it a little bit whitewashing that the only person that the Saudis killed you give a fuck about is the one who worked in America? Like, how many did they kill in their own land? What about those guys? What about the bombings in Yemen, if we're going to be completely fucking honest? Like,
no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But
we've heard of that one.
But they're not going to be the reason I could lose 3 points up north. So.
Wait, this is the brilliant thing of the fallout of it, because everyone's trying to say it's human rights and things, but it's not really, though, is it? That's not why you're that bothered. You're bothered because there's a fucking shark swimming with you now.
Yes, exactly, right. Because we might be in with a shot for Champions League, but now we're not. We've moved down the pecking order, probably by 1 or 2.
I'd make the most of it this year if I was you guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. So anyway, Moggy don't like it, and he has a pop at the ref. And on the wiretap, he says, I locked the son of a bitch in his dressing room, and I drove to the airport with the key. What are you, 7? Hilarious. What the fuck? Yeah.
Just absolutely browbeat and bollocked him, and then they're laughing. It goes, there's no way he did that. He goes, yeah, I totally did it. I locked him in and left with the
locked
key.
Him in. Fuck him.
That's when you start to get mafia fucking feels of like what Moggy's doing.
Yes, exactly, and the power. Now, bear in mind, Moggy is an he works on the railways, right? So,
oh, and that annoys me when someone starts talking. Go, first off, can I just tell you, even in a shit job, I was the best.
Yeah. But it's a bit like, and he keeps referring back to the railways, doesn't he? Look, listen, I'm a poor railway worker. No, you're fucking not. You're the sporting director of Juventus Football Club. You were on the railways for a couple of months. This is like when Billy Connolly, for 30, 40 years, one of the best comedians on the planet, he didn't shut up about working on the boatyards, did he, in Glasgow? He always mentioned some
material. You got to talk about your roots on stage. This is different.
But
this is slightly,
he only worked there for
different.
6 months. He talked about it for 40 years.
What else are you going to talk about? Gig stories. This is why young comics burn out, because they've got no fucking life experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got no. It's all stories on the train, or someone said this, and that's why this is wrong. And fuck vegans, apparently, over the past 10 years. Otherwise, but that's got to change pretty sharpish.
And I'm not knocking Connolly. I saw him. I went and saw him live in one of his last gigs. It was very good. Did I tell you what he did at the 2-hour mark? Halfway through his story, he went, "Anyway, that's my time. Ta-da!" Like, finish the fucking joke. Finish the story. No, he was gone, mate.
Love that.
You paid for 2 hours. You got 2 hours.
There's a Geordie comic I love. I know I'm not going to tell that because he's still doing it. But there was Reg D. Hunter. Fucking the way he wraps up a gig is my favorite way I've ever seen wrap up a gig. Because you all think it's got to build to like the biggest laugh, or like it's like the culmination, like in an hour show of all your stories and callbacks. And he just says, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have fulfilled my contractual obligation." I'm like, of all this, and he's one of my favorite comics. Of all the stuff he's done, that was my favorite thing. That was I want to be that guy.
I loved him, man. I told you, didn't I, when I saw him, and he was surrounded by a group of blokes, and they were all like 6, 7 foot tall, and I just walked under their arms straight up to him, and I went, "Hello, I saw your show in Edinburgh. I bloody loved it. And he's there building a joint. And he's like, well, thank you, sir. That's very kind. I went, no, you really... And his posse were around him, all fucking glaring at me. Anyway, see you, lads. Have a great night. And he went, well, thank you. It was really... He was so gracious, so lovely. I adore him. Absolutely adore him.
Absolutely love him.
Anyway, back to the documentary. So
they suspend the referee.
Which is bullshit, right? You can't just suspend a fucking ref because someone said so.
Well, this is what I'm going to go into with what you said of the Premier League in a second. So the linesman suffered a worse fate. He then gets demoted to like the lower ranked leagues.
Well, as did that ref. The ref, that happened to the ref as well.
And you have them on the wiretap going, you're humiliating me for no reason. So if you think of that power, right? Now, if Ferguson complains, this is why you always got to be a bit dodgy. Like, if you watch the big clubs, they'll mention the referees by name, like the Pep Guardiolas, the Alex Ferguson. Like, Ferguson stopped doing interviews after the Panorama expose on agency fees because I think they got a little bit too close to something on that one. Right. So he fucked off the BBC for like 5-10 years. But what they start to do is if you're not able to referee a Manchester United game or a Man City game, you're not in those big matches. Those big matches are what pays the bills or the way you want to be as a top ref. So now there is a pressure, an external pressure on you to be like, well, it was a 50-50 challenge in the box, but if Fergie loses this one, I could be refereeing fucking Millwall, fucking Oxford United next week.
Yeah.
Could be doing a Sunderland match.
Nice little swipe there. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And they make that poor linesman, when he starts crying, you really feel for him, don't you? You're like, oh, you... Yeah. Because he hasn't done anything wrong. And nor has the ref. They've done their job to their best of their abilities, right? They haven't broken any fucking rules. They did their job and they did it correctly, and they're being punished for that. That seems a little bit harsh. I mean, it's not the Nuremberg trial, right? But those people were doing their jobs. But this is wrong. This is fundamentally wrong. This is bullying at the highest fucking level.
Yeah, this is your job's on the line if things don't go my way, and you're not really in control of that. This is the thing that kind of cements that it's dodgy to me. Rich guy, executive of a fucking the top Serie A football club.
Yeah.
Buying burner phones to talk to the referee association.
Yeah. Well, they were old mates. You know,
but Matt, we're old mates. I don't go out and buy a different fucking SIM card to talk to you.
Of course you don't, Rick. A wink. And he knew a lot of people, right? Luciano. So, Moggy. He knew a fella called Aldo Biscard, who was he was like a Piers Morgan. And he's had a TV show on Italian TV for years. And it was really influential. It's called The Trial. And he would put things on trial and basically win over public opinion. So Moggy phones up Biscardi and went, oi, fucking referees, they're all shit, aren't they? Have a go with that, will you? And he went, well, we'll see. The next week, fucking referees on the TV show. And who was that woman sitting on his right?
Was that his wife?
No, I don't think it was. So what was he, 70? And he had like a 30-odd-year-old woman just sitting there smiling. Because everyone else in the place was a bloke, like an old bloke. And there's just 30-year-old woman going, hey, how are you? That was bullshit. Is Italy a real male-dominated society, yet they all love their mums?
I have no idea, Matt. I've got the Godfather and Dolmio adverts for fucking reference. All right, I have no idea. I've yet to meet a culture that didn't love their mums.
Yeah, fair point. Although when you get down to it, if they scratch the skin on me and you go, and another thing she did this time.
Listen, this is just guys with thick eyebrows succeeding. That's what it is in Italy.
But yeah, this TV show, it destroyed that linesman and referee. It was horrible.
And it shows you the Juve Milan match. Now, also within this, they also show that he rings up and he says, I don't want him refereeing that match. I need this guy refereeing this match because we're playing Regina next week and I need them to give yellow cards. And then 3 players got automatic suspensions for yellow cards to play Juventus. Now, in my mind, Regina versus Juventus with that team against that team, they should have won that match anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's like them ringing up going, Burnley, we need fucking Chris Wood off the field. All right, give him a yellow card next week so Van Dijk doesn't have to deal with him.
But the weird thing is, right, I didn't know this. This is how corrupt it must have once been. They have to choose the refs and the linesmen by public ballot. By the same way you'd pick who's playing who on TV, so it can't be fixed. And Moggy and Bergamo, the head of the Referees Association, who does all of that on TV, they fucking fixed it. How do you do that?
He said the list the night before. Where's McMillions? You put the names you want in the envelope you want and go, and the thing is Paprasti, Millwall, Arabella, Juventus.
Shit.
The gentleman shuffling cards in the corner wearing a top hat and a toothpick in his mouth. You're doing the AC Milan match, Sergio.
Fucking hell. It was... And that's how dodgy it was.
The footage of the AC Milan Juve match, which was a title decider, was interesting. So there was like a dodgy pen given, I think, in that one. And there was also, it was 0-0, and they stopped play. Like, Kaka was through on goal, fouled, but they didn't continue play for him to go and score. They pulled it back for a free kick, like a tactical foul, and usually with that kind of momentum, play would be allowed to continue.
Yeah, advantage, yeah. But the thing is, so Pino said, yeah, Moggy's using burner phones, and we've only ever seen them in organised gangs. Are you fucking kidding? What? Everybody has a burner phone. Like, do you not watch TV? Burner phones are all over the place.
Yeah, because there's a lot of crime on fucking TV narrative, idiot. What, you don't have an AK-47? No, you've just got the Expendables on DVD, man.
Everyone's got a burner phone, come on. I've got two sitting right here.
Towards the end of the season, they're neck and neck on points, and it's the decider match between AC Milan and Juventus, and they get Collina.
Collina, the ultimate referee, right?
The ultimate referee.
He can't be bought.
There was a match between Chelsea and, I want to say, Barcelona.
Right.
Champions League. And the first match was dodgy as fuck. Like, just loads of bookings, loads of complaints. And I always remember someone was saying, this is how smart Mourinho is. He said, they'll give us Collina for the replay. And then I watched this, and I realised that every single fucking manager just rings the Refs Association and bollocks them until they get the referee they want. Is that some part of, like, within this? Because it gets muddied the minute they go to prosecute.
Yes.
Juve win the league, and then it goes to the news. It gets leaked to the newspapers, so they're in on, like, they get the jump
grasses. And this is they've only got a small team, so someone on that team has fucking leaked it.
Someone went out for a cigarette, and then someone else walked in and saw the note on the fucking thing.
I like the fact that Luciano is driven around by the police. He's like the usual suspects, New York taxi service. Wherever he goes, the old Bill are giving him a lift.
And then it comes up, they have an interview with Moggy, who still has about 3 mobile phones on him, the dodgy guy.
And that's 13 years after the event, right?
Yeah.
And they're all ringing because they said, we've never heard anyone talk so much. So basically, yeah, it got leaked to the press. So the guy with the TV show, what was his name? Biscard. He had to quit his TV show. Bear in mind, this guy's been on telly for 20 years, right? He has one involvement with his mate Luciano. He's fucking out, mate. They call Luciano Lucky Luciano.
Luciano, yeah.
Which was the name of one of the guys who set up the mafia in the States.
They have the interrogation audio tapes of Luciano breaking down and saying how he feels like he was getting into organised crime, and he's like backtracking and recanting his actions. And then it gets to court, and all of a sudden, Lucky Luciano, a little bit more confident. If you notice that about it, there's a different demeanour when he hits the courtroom, and Italian court looks a lot of fun. It looks a lot of fun to me.
He basically, when he cried, and he did proper cry, but before he said that, he looked at them and he went, just so coolly, have I done anything wrong? Because he believes he hasn't. Because for a lie to be believable, you've got to fucking believe it yourself, right? So you're like, well, I haven't really been corrupt.
I want to get to this point. Okay, so in court, he is charged with match fixing.
Yep.
He is charged with kidnapping due to the
The
referee.
referee locked in. Yep.
They then get the referee on the stand, and the referee says, "No, he never locked me in the room."
Yeah. That was
But but you have a sworn testimony, Mr. Corleone. Are you trying to tell me that? Could you point out to the Senate who's in there? Is that your brother? It is my brother. He came from Sicily to see this one court case. And who's he next to? He's sat next to Luca Moggi. To me, that just snapped off like the Kimura stepped in and went, "Don't worry, here, and here, we got you."
Yeah.
No, the lawyer was so passionate and fucking brilliant from them. Baldini's doing the prosecution, who's investigating it. He had sugar down his fucking gown. He looked like he just wiped the Greggs down his lawyer crown. It just looked so different to British lawyers. It was unbelievable.
And the thing is, right, in court, how did he handle it in court? That is a man who has invested in some nicotine patches, because he couldn't have gone that long in court.
That's what it would have been. That's him chewing his fingernails and eating sugar the whole way through it. So this is why I don't think this was a great sports documentary, this next part here. Right? So they have all this investigation. And then they go, so Juventus were stripped of the titles.
Yep, 2 titles, yep.
Stripped of 2 titles and relegated.
Yep.
AC Milan got 15 points deducted.
Yep. Now, AC Milan didn't do fuck all wrong, right?
No, because basically they all do it. And the minute they toppled one, they toppled the other. They just kept on giving the refs.
It was the domino of... Yeah, okay.
Right. And Juve were kind of the ones that came out on top. But all of them were complaining about which refs to have.
Yes,
and all of them were doing this, that, and the other. And demanding certain referees.
They only had white
They only went... Maybe it's a jurisdiction thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why it became there's a whole other story here. Like, so if they cheated AC Milan out of the title, how is AC Milan getting deducted 15 points? So it just becomes who cheated better.
Yes, yeah. And then Moggi is found guilty.
I think Fiorentina got relegated as well. Fiorentina went down with it. Fiorentina, Inter Milan, AC got point deduction, and it destroyed Italian football. That's the year they won the Euros.
Oh, what is it?
On the back of that, so Italian football's in disarray, and then they went out there and played like fucking winners.
Well, did they, or did they have the refs on their side? What's the...
Wait. Zidane definitely headbutted Materazzi in that final. That's not a dodgy ref going up.
Because I've just watched Italy play us in a final a few months ago, and they were a little bit dirty, although they did deserve to win that.
They were fucking filthy, but Gareth Southgate's not a good manager.
So Moggi is found guilty, and he's given 5 years and 8 months. And in 2011, this was 5 years later, he was also found guilty of running a criminal organisation, convicted of a further 9 counts of sport fraud, but not guilty on another 8. And by 2019, he has served no time in prison due to the statute of limitations. Are you fucking kidding me? There's Brendan Dassey and Stephen Avery going, get me into an Italian court, motherfucker. Come on, because this is bullshit right here.
This is what is mobbed up, man. Mobbed up. I mean, the judge was late because his car blew up, but other than that...
But, you know, in Britain, if you was to be found guilty, what do they say? And we find you guilty.
How short is the statute of limitations in Italy is what I want to know. What is it, like 6 minutes?
It's 1 cigarette break. That's all it is. You get 1 fag break.
He shot him on Tuesday. Well, unfortunately, we didn't catch him in time. Case closed. Is that horse's blood on your gown?
In Britain, right? So they go, we find the defendant guilty. Take him down. And you go to prison there and then. There's prisons below the fucking court. In fact, that's where you start from. You start in prison.
Mm.
So how can he be found guilty, get given a sentence, and still serve no time? This is bullshit.
Yeah, like I said, this was it was a story I remember from football. I have a vague recollection of hearing Antonio Conte got fell out of a window around this time. It was in a critical condition.
Really?
And I tried Google. I can't find anything about it on Google. I may be imagining it because I was wrecked at the time. But I swear I remember a story where it's like, why is Antonio Conte falling out of a window? And then you piece it together around match fixing, around this, around that.
Italian football. And only one ref had his conviction upheld. All the others were acquitted because of the statute of limitations.
Yeah. Oh, shit, your court's on Monday, pal. You're actually going to jail.
Bad news. Sorry, Terry.
So we're going to wrap this one up, and I've got a final thought on the whole thing. What scores are you giving this one there, Mr. Wills?
I'm going to give this a 3.5.
3.5?
I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was all right, man. It was all right. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't watch it again, but I feel better for watching it, and I learned a few things.
It was a very fitting documentary for what I fully intended to talk about for an hour today. I'm trying, since I am around people with morals above their love for their football club, and I'm aware that I sound like a complete dick when I've harped on about the Saudi takeover. So there was a thing that happened this week that I think can kind of sum up the difference it makes. So, as I think I said to you either off air or on the Patreon feed, I got as many messages about the takeover nearly going through and being completed.
Yes.
As I did when my best friend passed a few years back. And it's more the connection that you then have with people within this world, because the football's been dead, so there's been nothing to discuss. So friendships that are built around that kind of era or aura of football or that connection have just eroded, have all of a sudden just sprang back to life. And all these, like, I've reached out to people that I haven't spoken to in about 10 years and went, oh, look at you fucking Macklin bastards, we're taking everything.
We're so doing Sunderland till I die. We're going to do that.
Sunderland till I die. Oh, fuck me. Do you know what? I almost started watching that just to enjoy my night. I'm sleeping on the sofa with my dog's scars healing so he doesn't go up the stairs. I was like, I could just start watching it. That taxi driver crying at relegation would really be great for me right now. But on saying that, this is going to be the last sports one for a little while because I know not everyone's into it. And just thank you so much for sticking with the Patreon subscribers. The next up, we have a great one, if you can find it, because we have the best fans on the planet, Matt. We have we have a listener, sorry, I'm calling a fan almost sounds like I'm showing off. We have an awesome fucking listener that got in touch, and since I'd bitched and moaned at not being able to find Murder in the Park, sent us a link for Murder in the Park. So that is the one we are going to do next. I can't wait. So thank you very much for sending on that link.
Well, thank you very much. That is, wow. Okay.
And we're getting a lot of positive feedback on the Patreon. We're up to about 40 hours of free content, more being added every week. We're finished making a murderer this week, so Matt has a vacuum to find some happiness before I suck it all back out. And yeah, just like I say, we're hitting some, like, this has become a part of our lives doing this podcast, so can't appreciate it. I feel like I'm giving an award speech because I don't give a fuck about anything else anymore. I'm so fucking happy we've got new owners. But thank you very much for listening, and we'll check back in next week. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah. Hang on, what was your score?
Fuck it, give it a 3.
Right, I'll see you later.
Take it easy.
Shut up. Fuck.